Hello guys, welcome to a new React series. Today we're going to talk about how to create a React application and how to set the environment for it. React can be the React environment can be set in many ways, but today I'm going to show you a really easy way to set it. So let's get started. We're going to use create React app to create our first application. I'm going to use git bash. I'm going to type create React app and the name of the application, new app, and now it's going to install all the dependencies and the application. I'm going to skip. Okay, so now that the application is installed, let's take a look inside it. So we have a public folder which contains index.html and the div ID root, which inside this div React will render the whole application, and you can find here React DOM render. It renders the whole application, the main component app.js, inside the ID div with ID root. After that we have manifest.json, which is for progressive web apps with service worker also, and the package.json, which contains dependencies and some scripts, start, build, for testing. So let's start the application. npm start, and let's create the environment. Let's create some folders. So we're gonna create a shared folder for the shared components, and we're gonna use the React component generator. For example, let's create a toolbar. We're gonna create a components folder. Here, I don't know, it will be about component, which we will use inside routes. We are gonna create a styles component, folder. And this one will contain variables .scss and colors.scss. So in order to use SCSS, we need to install npm node-sass, and we need to change the CSS to SCSS, and inside app.js also SCSS. And after that we will need to import these SCSS into the app. Okay, we're gonna create an environment folder. Environments. This will contain a base.js, a base environment, a local environment, a staging environment for testing, and a production environment. And after that we will need to install more dependencies. We will use Craco, alias, and cross-env. So Craco is Create React App Configuration Override. So for example, it helps us if we want to import a component, toolbar for example, a shared component inside app. If we import it, the path it will be like this. But if we will import it from nested folders, it will look at in some moment like this. So it's not really good. If we change the folders and the location of the folders, we will have an error. So we want to use an alias like this, so it will be really easy, and all the time it will know the location of the toolbar. Okay, so to do this we need to create a file in root Craco config.js, and we'll need to copy some function. So we will use Craco alias, which we installed, require, and we'll set the aliases here. So we have the shared, around shared, and the destination of the folder. And now we need to set it in package.json. So we need to create some new script and modify the existing ones. So for example, on npm start we'll use cross-env client underscore env equals to local and Craco start. So it will take the variables from the local JS. After that, the build production, it will have cross-env client env equals to production and Craco build, and the build staging cross-env client env equals to staging and Craco build. Okay, and now we can start populating the environment files. So inside base we will import this function, which has an object which returns an object, domain URL, and API, and this is the API URL we will use inside the application, inside the services. And after that, in local, production, and staging, we will import an environment from base. We'll make some constants. So domain URL, localhost, and the base API, which will be the API from backend. And after that, we are gonna make a constant with the environment function, and we send the base API and then domain URL inside it. So let's copy this inside production and staging also. So here it will be the staging URL and the production URL, the same with the API. Okay, now let's restart the application. npm start. You will see cross-env and client environment local. And now if you go inside app.js, we'll import environment from environment. And if we console log it, we will see the object with the domain URL and the API. So now it's really easy. If, for example, the API for backend changes on local, we change it immediately on production and staging as well. So even with the components imported, we will use aliases, and we have imported toolbar from shared component, and we have it down here. So that would be it for this lesson. Thank you for listening. See you in the next video.